Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the CEO Lawyer Podcast. I'm your host, Ali Awad, the CEO Lawyer, with my co-host,
Yusuf Krama.
And today we got a topic that not enough people talk about. And I think it's so important. And every time I do a coaching call or I'm training lawyers or talking people through their business model or even just advising friends, family, the topic is always this same issue. We're going to talk about it today. What is that topic, Yusuf?
The topic of today is master your mind, master your life. We're going to be talking about how a person can build and develop a mental toughness so whatever life hits them with, they can be ready to go.
Let's go. I love this topic. Let's go.
So let's get right into it. The first question is, how does a person work to effectively master their mind?
I think the first thing you should do is cut out all the negative energy, all the bullshit that you hear, all the songs and podcasts and shows and things that add absolutely zero value to your life. You should eliminate them. And so I stopped really listening to music like 5 years ago. Like, you know, if you're on TikTok and you're listening to music, that's different. But I mean jamming out to music on a regular basis. Now, if I'm in the gym and I want to listen to some Roy Jones, Can't Be Touched, because it gets me pumped and I know it's going to get me that last rep, that's different. I've already memorized that song. But I learned early on that, like, even the dumbest people in the world can memorize songs.
Sure.
You know? Isn't that crazy? Like, you'd think that this person, and by the way, that's a subjective thing, you know, like, objectively, you can't say, oh, this person is dumb because there's different types of intelligence. There's, you know, intellectual quotient, there's emotional intelligence, right? But almost anyone can learn a song, like memorize a song, verbatim, word for word.
Even children, yeah.
Yeah, even children. And so, isn't that crazy that your mind can pick up on every single word, every single beat, every single rhythm of a song after listening to it maybe just a couple of times? What if you replace that with something good? And I realized that, okay, even at the worst case scenario, if I can't listen to Quran, or if I can't listen to motivational speaking, I can't listen to entrepreneurs, I can't listen to positive shows, at the very least I can eliminate the negative ones. So when I eliminated music, it stopped eating up my mind. I was noticing that late at night, I'd be going to sleep and the lyrics would just keep playing over and over and over in my head. And I'm like, man, that's eating up all of my time. It's eating up my mental space. I want to replace that with something good. And so I started listening to more podcasts. I started adding Blinkist, which is this app that condenses an entire book into like a 10-minute snippet, right? I stopped hanging out with friends that added no value to my life. Like, it's okay to actually get rid of people in your life. You know, there's some people where I actually will have a conversation with my wife from time to time and say, I'm not going to take this person's calls anymore. That's it. That's the last time I took the, because I've asked them to do this thing multiple times, and every time they call me, it's the same problem. I give them the solution, but they don't listen. So now I no longer get any value from this person. Now, don't assume that by you not getting value from something, that means you have to take something from them. Sometimes the value is the happiness that you derive from mentoring someone and watching them succeed.
Sure, yeah.
That's enough value for me. I can get a sense of happiness by mentoring you and teaching you something that's going to elevate your lifestyle, help you in your financial journey, and do some positive and effectuate good change for your family. That's a really good feeling for me, so I want to do that for you. And then there's also the value of simply being happy when you're hanging out with this person. I like being around this person because I can be completely vulnerable, completely open. I have a couple of friends where all we like to do is literally sit at home, eat junk food, and watch The Office and Family Guy.
That's about right.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that because sometimes you need your brain to rest. A couple of hours here and there is not going to kill you, right? But that's not the same people that I'm going to be spending my entire life with, not every single day, day in and day out. So the moment that you no longer get that sense of enjoyment of being around that person, the moment you realize I'm not benefiting from mentoring this person anymore because I'm not feeling like I'm moving the needle or getting any sort of satisfaction. The moment you realize I'm not getting any sort of financial benefit from networking with this person, from connecting with this person, then you need to cut them out. So start by cutting out all the music, all the shows, all the negative energy, and then start cutting out all the people. That's the very first step to improving your mindset and mastering your mind. And once you do that, there's only room for positive.
I want to talk about how when we're all children, young adults growing up, we have these dreams and aspirations. You want to be something in life. You want to start a particular business. And then someone comes along and kills that idea or kills that dream, tells you you aren't good enough, you aren't smart enough. They say that the fastest way to kill a big dream is to introduce it to a small mind.
Yeah.
So have you ever had this experience in life where you had this goal, this aspiration, you really believed in it, and somebody came along and crushed it? And how has that affected you?
So I'm a very strong-willed person. And I really love my family and the people that are close to me. But I learned at some point in my journey that the people that love you the most usually give you the worst advice because that's coming from a position of fear / love and not experience / success. So the best example that I can give you is my mom. My mom, like, she will go to war for me, bro. Like, everyone's mom is going to, but obviously we have a good relationship. I'm very thankful for my mom. May God give her long life and peace. And my mom never wanted me to have my own law firm. She wanted me to just go and work. There's this phrase that we have in Arabic, يعني روح اشتغل بشهادتك, which means go and work with your degree, And so coming from an entrepreneurial background and being in business all the time, with my dad being the financial manager of the house, where he was the one that managed all the funds, my dad did not have the financial experience to know how to manage a business and grow it. So when you have 4 boys, all of them are working in the stereo shop, in the mechanic shop, basically free labor with 4 people. I mean, there's no way that you can't succeed financially because it's free labor from 4, hard workers. But somehow we always ended up broke. And that was because my dad, who is the oldest of 10 siblings, would give all of the extra money that we were able to make and give it to his family to help them out because his dad passed away when he was very young, like 23, 24. So he took it as his responsibility to take care of the rest of his siblings. And I think I should bring my dad on an entire episode, entire podcast to talk about that story. But the reason my mom had the scarcity mindset was because we were never really financially successful growing up. It was always my scarcity mindset. We're couponers, right?
Yeah.
Every time we go to the grocery store, my mom would negotiate with the cashier at the United Grocery Outlet that the tomatoes are 39 cents a pound down the street and they should match the price. That's literally how we grew up. You never get the piece of candy at the checkout aisle. You never buy a 20-ounce Coke because the 2-liter is cheaper and it's much more Coca-Cola inside. If you wanted to buy something as a extra luxury item, you earned it. You figured out a way to earn that money. So my mom always felt like the successful people in her life had always been doctors, lawyers, engineers, accountants that were working for these big companies. They had benefits, they had the company car, they were living in a condo downtown. That was the epitome of success. And one of the hardest things was trying to convince my mom that, like, I can be the one that owns that company. I don't have to work for that company. I'm the type of person that owns that company. And there was no way that I could shift that mindset for her because she cannot know what she does not know. You just don't know what you don't know. All she knows is that I love this kid, I know what success looks like to me, and I want to make sure that he's successful, so I'm going to keep him on the right path. So I got a job out of law school making 40 grand a year, right? Which now is less than what anyone in my entire organization makes. And this is just literally 6-7 years ago, right? It's not a long time ago. It's not like I've been doing this for 40 years. And my mom was actually very happy that I got a job because she's like, okay, well, good. You start there, you work your way up, you can become, an associate and then a senior associate, junior partner, or whatever, work your way up. And I said, okay, that's great. I actually have no problem with that. But the job that I was in was not going to give me those opportunities. Honestly, if the first employer that I ever had out of law school would have taken care of me, paid me my bonuses, and actually showed me a path towards success in his organization, I would still be working there because I feel like it would have given me everything that I needed. So it taught me how to treat my employees and how to sell them a big enough dream and a big enough vision where they could all fit inside it. But it also made me realize that my mom is not the most qualified person to tell me what I'm supposed to do in my career. And the exact moment when that changed? The moment where my mom finally realized that this kid is up to something,
Yeah.
and I think he'll be just fine. It was on Mother's Day 2018
When you bought that Benz.
when I bought her a brand new Mercedes.
Yes, sir. That'll do it.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Now let me give you a little caveat to this. I went to the Mercedes dealership, and I know how to buy cars. Okay, so this was a Mercedes GLA 250. It was an entry-level Mercedes SUV, the small SUV, 2018 model. Here's how you buy a brand new car. You don't go and get the one with 0 miles. You get the one that's like been on the lot for like 6, 8, 10, 12 months, right? And you get the manager special, the one that they've been using as a loaner, you know? And so that car, if you were to buy it, it probably would have cost like 30, 40 grand. I decided, okay, well, I don't have that kind of money, but I still want to do this something nice for my mom. So I was able to negotiate with them on a lease, and I was able to lease that brand new Mercedes for like $290 a month.
Nice. That's cool.
For a brand new Mercedes. I put that as a business expense under the company. $290, that's like $50 a week. It's not gonna kill anybody, you know what I mean? But what it did was it showed my mom like, hey, this is the first step. Like, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna take care of our family. You know, you don't have to worry about it anymore. And there's a whole nother story about why I got her a Mercedes. There's a specific reason why it had to be a Mercedes. And so we write that down for another note. Like, what's the whole Mercedes story with your mom? But that's the thing, man. When you mention someone in your life that might shatter your dreams or might hold you back, you know, if they're important enough, keep them around, keep them in your life, but don't share those big visions and big aspirations with them because they might give you that negative energy back. But when you're strong enough in what you believe, it doesn't matter how. I honestly blocked it out. Like, anytime she would say something about, don't do this, don't try this, I'll block it out.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, it's tunnel vision, man. Like, at this point, I'm confident. I know what I'm going to do because no one else could see the cases that I was bringing in, the kind of clients that I was representing, and the amount of money that's coming down the pipeline. Like, I knew while I'm sitting there not being able to afford the $300 a month in rent and still having $200,000 in debt from credit cards, law school, the bad apartment complex deal that I had, I knew I was going to be a millionaire in 12 months because I had the pipeline filled. She couldn't see it. She couldn't believe it. And she's just like, oh, no matter how much you talk, there's no way this is going to happen. But that Mercedes just so happened to be a manifestation of that success for her. And that was enough. Now she thinks everyone should have their own law firm.
This is the idea of being anointed but not yet appointed, where many people say, when I have money, then I'll be a successful CEO. Or when I get married, then I'll be a good husband, right? But I believe, and I want you to share your experiences with this, that you should have this mentality even before ever going into that. So you were a CEO long before you ever owned your own law firm. You were a millionaire long before your bank account, resonated with what your dreams were. So how do you develop this mentality of becoming that which you know you're supposed to be, that which you know you are, but you're just not there? You're not appointed there yet. You're not appointed as a CEO yet. How do you develop that mentality? I talk to people, that would just dress up like, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer yet, but I'll dress up like a lawyer, talk like a lawyer, interact with lawyers, network with lawyers until I can be appointed to the place where I know I'm supposed to be.
So that's fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
That's okay, but I think it comes from confidence is number one. Confidence comes from competence.
Competence.
Education. You have to be educated first. You have to be so educated about this specific subject, topic, industry, career, that nothing else can shake your mindset. You know with every moral fiber of your being that this is the right thing that I need to be doing. And there's nothing else that's worth my time, and nothing else can steer me from this path.
Wow.
When you have that unshakable confidence, nothing else matters. You get that confidence from competence. You get that from education. You get that from networking. You get that from reading books. You get that from talking to people that have been there, done that. I had a general rule of thumb where I wanted to meet with every single lawyer that I thought was successful, and I asked them, how long did it take you to make your first $1 million? And anyone who said 20 years, 30 years, I didn't ask them how they did it. Anyone that was saying significantly less time, I spent time with them and talked to them. There were very, very few of those. But guess what? In the real estate world, there's tons of millionaires being born every year, every 2 years. In the e-com world, Amazon drop shipping, businesses online, they were making millions of dollars very, very quickly. So I was spending all of my time with those types of people. Yeah, sure. 2017, 2018, I'm hanging out in the e-com space. I'm hanging out with digital marketers. I'm hanging out with young entrepreneurs, young hustlers, right? Whereas everyone else was hanging out with these attorneys that took 20, 30 years to become a multi-million-dollar business. So I merged those two together. I took my knowledge and my competence from digital marketing and social media and building online businesses with my law degree and created the CEO Lawyer. And that's why I had that unshakable confidence. That's why I knew it was the right move in 2016 to invest in Instagram and build up my page, because I was the first person to create the legal influencer category. No one did that before me. That was the thing. But I knew that that was the right path because I saw what every other industry had done. So it's a benefit being in the legal industry that we're so slow to adapt, because I could see what other industries do. And so because I did that over the years, now I have that same sort of foreseeability, the ability to forecast what might happen later on. And yeah, I might put my eggs in a basket and it mess up, but if I diversify enough, one of those is actually going to materialize. Sure. And so now we're in the NFT space, we're in the crypto space, we're in the software as a service, SaaS space, we're in the artificial intelligence and machine learning space. So that's where we're going, because that's where the law is going to go in the next 5 to 10 years.
So I want to definitely segue into something. I know that you spend a lot of money into Masterminds. I want to know how valuable has joining, attending Masterminds been to you, and what are some key moments or some stories that you can share with us that would then elucidate those experiences that you had?
So the reason people join Masterminds is to find like-minded people, people that have the same perception of growth and the same anticipation of success and the same yearning for legacy. Those are all people that you want to hang around with, and they might not always be in the same exact industry. You'll rarely find those same exact people down the street from you. You know, when you think about it, you think about the top 1% in the world, right? Or the top 0.01% in America. That means 1 out of every 10,000 people is going to be in that top 0.01%. Yeah, sure. So if you know 5,000 people, chances are one of them is not going to meet that criteria. You need to meet another 5,000 people. That's why Masterminds are so cool, because they almost attract all of the highest performers in the world into one networking group. So part of it is paying money to have friends that are like you. But the other part is just expediting relationships. So the reason you join Masterminds is because it allows you to connect with people, because they know that if you're in this mastermind, you have a similar business to me, and I'm going to respect your time and I'm going to listen to you. And then you also have the ability to expedite those relationships. What would have taken you years to accomplish can be done in a matter of minutes because someone does a warm introduction. So I think buying your way into relationships is the fastest way to grow in your business. If you meet someone that's insanely successful or is at least moderately successful and on a rocket ship to success, figure out whatever they have to offer and join it. Their highest level mastermind, their highest level coaching program, anything that gives you one-on-one time, the more time that you spend with them, the quicker they'll introduce you to other people, and you'll be able to connect, network, and figure out what's going to work best in your business. So masterminds are key to getting you to that next level. But there's also a time when you have to realize you're not a mastermind junkie anymore. Like, there's different levels to this game, right? So the first level is events, right? When you go to events and you go to seminars and things like that, and you buy webinars and courses and stuff online, that's the first level of knowledge, right? Because you can buy into other people's 10, 20, 30 years of experience condensed into one small program.
Nice, yeah.
And then the next level is, okay, well, I've already gotten all that stuff. Now I need customized help. So that's when you join a mastermind. Well, the mastermind is a group of people that all help each other. And then you can elevate into one-on-one private coaching. So you start with generic information, then you go with a little bit more specific information, and then you find the best possible coach, the best possible person that can help you go from point A to point B as quickly as possible. It gets more expensive every step of the way, and you have to figure out when you've outgrown that first layer. Yeah. And after private coaching, after you've figured out everything that you need, those coaches stay on. They become your mentors, and they stick around forever. And a lot of times you'll pay them $5, $10 a month to coach you personally, but once you're done and they kind of have built the system for you, have guided you along the way, and you continue to learn, the student will surpass the teacher. Yeah, sure. And then you become the coach. You become the mentor. You become the consultant because you've already achieved that financial success that you're looking for in your business. So what's the next step? Impart that same type of success upon everyone else in your organization. So those are the levels to success.
Okay, so remember you talked about a story where you joined this mastermind and you was able to tour one of the facilities of the coaches, and you saw something there that really changed your business.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's also part of the reason why I have this podcast. So one of the masterminds that I was in is called I forgot the name of the mastermind, but it was with Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. It was the RITA Syndicate. That's what it's called. And so in joining the RITA Syndicate, it was like $70,000. And I had to convince my wife for me to spend 70 grand on this mastermind. Yeah. And we happened to be in Europe at the time during our anniversary. So I knew that if I brought this up at that time, I'm about to have to buy her a lot of stuff. Yeah. But I was like, look, I think this is a good move. This is what I need to get myself to that next level. This was around 2019. Yeah, it's 2019. It was almost like 3 years ago. In 2019, I decided to invest $70,000 into a mastermind program. As a consequence of joining that mastermind program, 2 very highly successful and influential people had my ear, and they would basically listen to me, and they would give me their private tutoring, private coaching, one-on-one. And one of them invited me to come to their facility. In their facility, this 200,000 square foot facility, massive facility, massive organization. They're selling $500 million a year in products. I noticed that in the middle of the facility, there was an entire section of just empty tables and desks. I'm like, what is that section? It's like, well, that's the hand note writing station. You mean your handwriting notes? It's like, yep, every single order that goes through this warehouse comes with a handwritten thank you card. I'm like, really? Does that not, like, that doesn't seem feasible. Yeah. It's like, it's called outbound customer service. The reason we are going to outperform every other company in our category is because we are obsessed over the customer and we are mutually involved and invested in their growth. And if you do the same thing in your business, no one can touch you. And so that's what I decided to do. And so now we have an outbound customer service department. Now we have someone whose sole job is to call past clients, see what their experience was. If it was a good experience, boom, get a 5-star review online. If it was a bad experience, get their home address. We're gonna mail them a gift bag and a gift package and tell them, hey, here's all of our swag, here's our stuff. Thank you for choosing us. We really hope that you'll take into consideration hiring us in the future if you need us. Luckily, out of the thousands of clients that we represented, we only had 13 people that gave us a negative feedback when we did that call, we did that work, but we got hundreds of Google reviews online. And now we built that into a system where it's part of my company. Now I realize that the investment of $70,000 into that mastermind was for that 5 minutes of time at one gym. Because when you're on that growth trajectory, it's not about yards. Inches. It's not about feet. It's not about inches. It's this little millimeters that in a small degree shift will drastically change the trajectory of your success. If you're sitting in an airplane in Los Angeles, in LAX, and the pilot and the crew and the passengers in that plane are all sitting ready for takeoff, and then the nose of the plane is just shifted 3.5 degrees, no one in the plane, not even the pilot, not even the stewardess, no one is going to be able to tell that the plane shifted. But when you get to the end of your destination, you were supposed to get off in New York City, you get off in Washington, D.C. Because that small shift, that small degree of change drastically affects the trajectory of growth. That's why you join Masterminds.
It's powerful, man. Even the things that you share so haphazardly, those are mind-shifting things, realities that if you haven't been initiated into that world, you would never know.
Well, here's the thing, man. I used to think it was bullshit when the coach in these programs would tell me, look, a lot of the information that we're going to cover today might already be in your mind. You might already know it. Sometimes it's just cleaning it up and simplifying it. But if you are already on this rocket ship to success, you don't need yards. You don't need feet. You're looking for inches. You're looking for those small nuggets that are going to change the trajectory of your life and of your business. And I used to think that was bullshit. I thought that was a sales pitch. Like, oh, you're basically telling me you're going to feed me a lot of crap that doesn't really apply. But the truth is, unless you're doing one-on-one coaching with these people, you're not really going to be able to get those gems because guess what? You can't afford them. When someone is a multi-billionaire, they're not going to sit here and coach you. You have to pay me literally hundreds of thousands of dollars an hour for me to give you private coaching. Are you going to pay that? No, you can't afford it. Even if you wanted to. And nor do they want to because they're not in that business. They would rather give it to you for free. What's the next best thing to free? Small payment. I want to be part of your coaching program. as an added benefit, you get to network with like-minded people. So, dude, the biggest hack ever is to pay people for their knowledge and their friendship to expedite your success. Biggest hack ever.
That's cool, man. I want to get into your physicality as well, and how mastering your body goes into mastering your mind, then goes into mastering your life.
Okay.
I don't know if we should save that for another podcast or get into it a bit.
Let's go. We'll touch on it.
All right, so they say that everybody has a plan. Everybody's a fighter until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
It takes a very strong mental toughness to go through literally having bones broken, and to persevere through that is another level, another stratosphere of mental toughness. Like, I want to talk a bit about your background with martial arts.
So in 1998, my dad took me and my 3 brothers to So's Martial Arts in Dalton, Georgia, to learn Taekwondo. When we joined that Taekwondo studio, we realized that it was a business more than it was a dojo. They would basically, every 2 months, they'd have a test, and then you'd get, ranked up to the next belt. And I knew as an 8-year-old that it was bullshit, because when I was testing for my next belt, I had better punches, better kicks, better form, and they gave me 1 stripe on my belt, and they gave this other kid 3 stripes on his belt because his mom was paying more for his membership. Yeah. So my dad took us out and then took us to another studio with Ben Kiker. Ben Kiker's United Karate Studios. Ben Kiker is known as the giant of the Southeast. He trained with Chuck Norris. It's so weird that someone like Ben Kiker would happen to be in Dalton, Georgia, right. on Walnut Avenue, literally 0.4 miles from where I grew up, on 618 Fifth Avenue in Dalton, Georgia. This is where Ben Kiker's United Karate Studios, 1132 East Walnut Avenue, Dalton, Georgia, right down the street from where we lived at 618 Fifth Avenue. And I realized that when we went into that studio, Ben was just a completely different person. This man is like 6'4", 250, 270, big old, a big boy. You know what I mean? And he actually told my dad he's not going to let us join the karate studio unless my dad joined with us.
Wow.
He said, if you're going to let all your kids join, then I need you to join as well. My dad was like, man, I just came back from the mechanic shop. My hands are hurt. He's like, I don't care. You don't even have to pay. I'll join you for free. I just want the whole family involved. And, long story short, we got really, really hooked in with Ben Kiker and his studio. We couldn't afford really a basic membership, so he basically took us under his wing. He trained us up. We became very disciplined and very aggressive fighters. Ben would actually take us to karate tournaments. We'd drive in his, little Buick, his Park Avenue Buick, and he would take us to LJ, take us to Ringgold, take us all over. And we'd drive up there, kick some ass, come back with a bunch of trophies. And so the crazy thing about Ben Kiker and growing up in martial arts was that he was a super conservative Christian. So even in the dojo, when you'd walk into the karate studio, you would see all of these Bible verses. As part of our black belt test, we actually had to memorize the first psalm of the Bible.
Oh, wow.
And you had to recite it. And I said, well, look, we're Muslims, so we don't really read the Bible. And then I talked to a couple of religious leaders, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with learning other scriptures. It's just whether, you're doing it for the right purpose. Like, are you doing it to learn? What's the purpose? It's like, well, we're learning, and it's part of our, okay, cool, no problem. So in 2003, when I'm testing for my black belt test, you're talking about 2 decades ago, I still know, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, which bringeth... So I memorized this psalm from 20 years ago, and I memorized all of these songs with Amazing Grace, and all these 1970s and 80s songs from the karate studio. So my background being a young Palestinian immigrant in Dalton, Georgia, in a super Mexican town with this super conservative old school white guy that trained with Chuck Norris, you can imagine that I was exposed to just about every type of culture and everything. So today, 20 years later, you see a super disciplined person because I grew up knowing if you show up to the karate studio at 6:01 when class starts at 6, you're doing push-ups.
Yeah, no doubt.
You're going to walk there if you have to. You know that the black belt test that we took 9 hours. 9 hours of black belts beating up on you, and you have to know every single form, every single punch, every single kick. They're training and beating you up all night long. You have to compete physically and beat people. There's no better feeling for me than feeling your nose get crushed under the sound of my fist. This is how I grew up. And being disciplined and knowing that you're gonna get smashed if you don't train and you don't succeed and you don't put in the work right now, that manifested itself in other areas of my life. So martial arts was a huge reason and a huge credit for why I think I became successful today.
So how does mastering your physical self impact like your mental toughness as well?
I don't think you can be financially successful or truly successful in life and with your family and just with your mind if you don't have a good, strong control over your physicality. I think you need to be in shape to be optimal, okay? And I'm not saying you have to have a six-pack and be completely shredded. I'm saying you have to at least be able to perform at a normal physical level for your age, height, weight, whatever it is. So yeah, training in martial arts I think was a big part of what led to our mental toughness, and that led to physical toughness as well.
All right, so I know Ali, you didn't mention it, but you do have a black belt.
Yeah.
All right, so how practical has that been in your life? Like, what are some stories you could tell about, you breaking some bones? I know you had this secret kick that's pretty dangerous. I thought I could take you till I heard about this kick, and I think I'm cool.
I'm sure there's some, you can go on my Instagram and see some knockout videos because they're still up there. But I think I'm going to get back into it. Right now, part of the motivation for me to get back into martial arts, honestly, would be because, look, I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm going to be vulnerable for a little bit. My biggest fear is that my kid grows up not appreciating the values of hard work, not realizing that, man, I busted my ass to get here, and I don't want him to take that for granted. And so I can't downsize my life and go live in a shack off of Fifth Avenue and have the lights get cut off and force him into, living a much less full financial life, because then it's going to affect me.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm selfish, right? I'm selfish because I can't impart that same sense of scarcity onto him. So what's the next best thing? Education. If you can't be forced to learn, you can have other people teach you. So I want to get back into martial arts because I want him to learn the values of discipline, disciplining your mind, disciplining your body, disciplining your soul early on. Get him to be a competitor. Understand that it's good to compete. It's good to want to win. It's good to only accept being in first place. I don't want no participation trophy. You don't know, we're not a participation trophy family. And I do the same thing with my law firm. And honestly, some people end up quitting. They don't like it. They're like, no, this is not the type of culture that we signed up for. Okay, well, we only want winners. We only want competitors. I want that same drive in my son. So I want to get back into martial arts so that he gets that same discipline. And if I'm back into it, then I'll make sure of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I have that same passion. I know what he needs to be doing. I know the type of training that he needs. And then if you couple that with tutoring of different languages, different education, Quran, Arabic, fiqh, all these things, then maybe he'll actually turn out to be a better version of me because I gave him not just everything that he wanted, but also everything that he needed.
It's dope, man. It's really dope. Training his mentality is what we're talking about today so he can master his life early on. I think that's dope, man.
Inshallah.
So it's been an amazing podcast, man. I love hearing these different stories about your life. I can't wait to see your footage this week. I think we should do like a screen where we watch your footage.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's pull up a bunch of like old school knockout videos. Man, I got videos from like the 90s, bro. Yeah. With the old school camera, the Sony camcorder that you would actually hold like this. It had the one little screen on it, and then it had the little monitor on the backside. Yeah, man. But look, mastering your mind really starts with eliminating the junk. Get rid of all the junk, not just the music and the shows and the TV, but also the junk people. There are junk people in your life that do not deserve you at your best. So where you are right now, it's okay to eliminate them because you keep those people along, it's only going to get worse. Number 2, you really do have to master your physicality. It's okay to be a predator. It's okay to be a competitor. It's okay to be a winner. But if you have the ability to turn that off and say, you know what, I don't want to crush you. I don't want to destroy everyone that's my competition. I just want everyone to succeed and everyone to be a part of it. But I have the ability to destroy everything you've ever worked for like that because I'm a competitor. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Cool. I think you get that with physicality. I think you get that with being able to master your physical strength and knowing how to push your limits. Because when you realize that if I say I want to go and run a mile today, and then you stop at a mile, then that's what you think you're capable of. Sure. But if you say, I'm going to go and run 100 miles today, and first you think that's kind of just crazy, there's just no possible way. But if you tell yourself, I'm not going to come back home until I finish 100 miles, you're going to finish it. And the same thing applies in your life. If you only demand the best, you only look for the best, and you only expect the best, I promise you, you will get the best. And that's how it works.
It's cold, man.
All right, that's it. That's a wrap, right? That's a wrap. Yeah. Okay, guys, this was an awesome show about mindset. Master your mind and you will master your life. Eliminate all of that negative energy. Eliminate those negative people. Focus on bringing in good things into your life. And remember, the people that love you the most are usually the ones that give you the worst advice because they're coming from a position of love and not experience. They could be experienced in life. They could be experienced in raising you. They could be experienced in being your friend and having fun conversations. But that doesn't necessarily qualify them to give you advice on what you need right now, whether it's in your business, in your finances, in your marriage, in raising your children. Just because something's been done a certain way forever does not mean that's the right way to do it. Okay? Master your mind. Be a continuous student. Always learn. Always look for the next best thing because there's levels to this and it never ends. And when you start enjoying that journey of continuous learning, life just becomes a game at that point. You're just playing and then the money in your account is just scorecard. That's all it is. I'm Ali Awad, the CEO lawyer, with my co-host
Yusuf Kroma.
And join us next time on our next show where we will talk about the 6 F's of my life. Take care. I'll see you soon.